Hello, Tim from Fair Play Now on the 21st of February 2023. And I saw a really good meme yesterday, and it basically showed this guy. And in the first picture on this meme, he had, I think it must have been a dumb phone, and he's saying, "This is convenient." And then he progresses on a few years where he's got a smartphone, and again he's saying, "This is convenient." And then he's making a digital payment with his smartphone, and again he's saying, "This is convenient." And then the final sort of picture in the meme showed him sitting in this prison cell with his bed and his toilet next to each other. And again, he's saying, "This is convenient." Because after all, being in prison would be quite convenient, wouldn't it? You've got your bed there and you've got your sort of toilet right next to it. You get your food brought through to you 3 times a day without having to go and look for it, shop for it, and work for it or anything. So you could actually argue that being in prison would be convenient, even if you've got to put up with all of the hardships and the prison slop for food. But my point is, just how much technology do you want? Because all my life we've been on this upward increasing spiral of more and more and more and more technology, which for many of those years of my life I thought was a good thing. I thought, oh, this is so good, we used to have to do this, and now we don't have to anymore. Just a very, very basic example, going back to the days when I actually used to watch television and had to change channels all the time. And if you're a younger person watching this, you're not going to believe this, but if you wanted to change your channels, and we only had 3 channels back when I was young, if you can believe that. Yeah, I know, unbelievable, isn't it? But if you wanted to change from ITV to BBC, you actually had to get up, walk across the room and press a button on the front of the TV to change your channels. There was no remote control whatsoever. And then probably in the mid-80s to late 80s, I don't know if you remember these things, they're hilarious. Yeah, you used to have remote controls, so you could sit there in your armchair and change channels at will, but you had like a little cable that sort of went from the end of the remote control and linked into your TV. So it was like a hardwired remote control. I don't know if you remember those, but they were quite hilarious and pretty short-lived until proper remote controls came in for TVs and everything else. So, wireless ones. But again, it kind of made things more convenient, and we've been on this spiral, and the expectation has been that as we go forward through the years and the decades, this technology is just going to get more and more and more. The convenience is going to get more and more and more, and I don't think it's entirely a good thing. Well, I know it's not a good thing entirely. Yes, who doesn't like a bit of convenience? But there is downsides to it. First of all, it makes you lazier, both physically. And yes, we had to get up and walk across the room and change channels, but at least it was getting you to move just a little bit up and down out of your armchair. And then you multiply that by so many other things where things were just more labor intensive. Life was more labor intensive, and it did actually keep you fit. And also mental agility. Convenience is killing people's mental agility. I well remember the days when I used to have 3 or 4 map books in this vehicle, and if I wanted to sort of find my way somewhere, you'd look up on the map where to go, and then you'd sort of memorize the route and put the map down, and off you'd go. And maybe annoyingly, if you sort of forgot the last couple of turns, you'd have to get the map book out again and look at it. But at least it kind of helped your memory and your mental agility. Whereas now all you do is you just type in your postcode into the sat nav and away you go, and it's technology that's doing all that work for you. So there's just so many things where it's a lot more convenient, but it is affecting, as I say, things like mental and physical agility, and not giving you as much exercise in those areas. So there's definitely downsides to it. And long before the nonsense started, I thought, just how far do we want to go with this technology stuff? Do we really want all of this AI coming in and sort of taking jobs off of everybody? Because what happens then? Yes, if you watch these utopian, dystopian films, there they are sort of living a life of idleness and entertainment and no work whatsoever, which many people might think is a good thing. And if this AI does come in and it means that, I don't know, about 80-90% of the population doesn't have to work, we can all just sort of sit in our armchairs and be lazy, ever more lazy, etc. Well, that's not a good thing at all, because you're just not going to do anything, are you? And therefore, if something ever went wrong, the grid went down, you're not going to be able to survive, really. I was watching a video with Max Egan. I don't know if you know him or you follow him that much. I don't really watch much of his stuff, but I've come across the odd video. And he was saying 100 years ago, the average person, or a lot of people at least, could go into a wood or a forest with just a bit of rope and a knife and be able to survive, whereas hardly anyone could do that now. And that is thanks to technology, of course. So it's certainly not a good thing. And the other reason I don't think it's a good thing is, well, there's two reasons. First of all, I think it will enslave us. If we have too much technology, it's not going to be this idyllic future you see on these sort of futuristic TV and programs and films. It's going to be a future of enslavement, where you just can't go out anywhere without the face recognition cameras seeing you, sort of recognizing your face. And because you've gone out of your front door or out of your sort of designated sector too many times, you will sort of just get a fine, which will come directly out of your bank account, of course, especially if you have these central bank digital currencies sort of come in. It will just be taken straight out of your account. So it will be like a digital prison. And also, if you're not working, because all of the AI robots are sort of doing the work that us humans used to do, well, what's that made you? Essentially, this isn't my terminology, it's what the powers that shouldn't be use, but you've just made yourself into a useless eater, haven't you? And we all know that these powers that shouldn't be don't like useless eaters and would rather see them, well, sort of not around anymore, to sort of put it delicately. So yeah, my thoughts when I was first thinking about this kind of thing, which was long before the nonsense started, was how much technology do we want? And in some ways it would be nice to go back to how the Amish people live, the people in the United States who live in farming communities, and they don't really believe in having any technology that is kind of any more current than the year about 1900 or 1850, whatever. They don't use anything that was developed after that kind of time. And I was thinking that it might be nice to be kind of Amish plus 100, let's say. So whereas they won't have any technology from even the 20th century, maybe I would limit myself to technology that's was done or invented no later than the year 2000 or 2010, something like that, because just how much technology do you want? Yeah, okay, I wouldn't want to go back to cavewoman times. I wouldn't even want to go back to do what the Amish do and sort of live in sort of kind of a Victorian standard of sort of living. I do like some of the more modern sort of benefits, like the internal combustion engine, central heating at this time of the year, sort of phones, mobile phones, etc. But my limit would probably be, I could probably go back to 2010 and be quite happy with just using pre-2010 technology and use nothing that comes after that, and certainly nothing that will come kind of from now onwards. Maybe you would be appalled by that and you sort of just love technology and you just want it to continue, or maybe you'd go the other way. Maybe you'd sort of say to me, Tim, I don't want any technology that came later than the year 2000, 1990, 1980, 1970. So I'm going to make this a little bit interactive, this video. So if you want to put the cut-off date or decade that I've just mentioned there in the comment section below, it'd be quite interesting to read. So just to kind of reiterate, would you have your cut-off point at, let's say, 1980 or 1990 and be quite happy with nothing that came after that, using nothing that came after that? So be interesting to see what you think on that. And yeah, I just think that if we keep on going on this ever increasing spiral of technology, it's only going to lead to our enslavement. And it might not be quite as graphic as that meme that I mentioned at the start of this with a physical prison cell, but it will be a digital prison cell that we may well find ourselves in. So yeah, coming from someone who is reasonably technophile for most of my life, it is kind of saying something that I do not really want it to carry on anymore, the development of it. So let me know what you think in the comment section below, and I'll catch you again tomorrow. Tim from Fair Play now. Thanks for watching.